A single MOM's incredible journey. Discover how a CEO changed her life forever. Amazing Glove in the heart of Maplewood, a small town where dreams often felt just out of reach, Sarah fought her daily battles with a grace that made her a local legend. At 35, she was the kind of woman everyone knew: sturdy, kind-hearted, and inexhaustibly resilient. Sarah juggled 3 jobs, a waitress at Dottie's Diner, a grocery store clerk at Hometown Market, and a late-night cleaning lady, always with a smile plastered on her face and her 2 little ones swirling in her heart. Her spirit came from the man she'd lost too soon, her father, a decorated veteran whose life lessons echoed in her daily struggles: integrity, hard work, and the importance of family. Yet whispers of concern followed her like shadows. Bills piled high, looming like storm clouds ready to unleash chaos on the little family. Sarah often lay awake at night, a tight knot in her stomach as she envisioned an eviction notice taped to the door, a stark reminder of the uncertainty that clawed at her heels. "We'll be okay, Lily. We'll figure it out," she whispered to her spirited daughter, who was always ready to fight the world for her brother Jake. But deep down, Sarah feared nothing would ever change. One Friday night, the air buzzed with excitement during the high school football game. Families gathered, a community united in cheers, yet Sarah felt the weight of judgment pressing down as the news of her struggles slipped through the local grapevine. "I heard Sarah can't make rent this month," whispered the mayor's wife over hot dogs and soda. Those words stung, leaving Sarah aching in her chest. It was then that Tom, a sharp-suited CEO with charisma to spare, stepped into that very diner, searching for a taste of nostalgia before the charity event he was hosting. He noticed Sarah, her laughter echoing with the clinking of plates and rattling of forks, her devotion to her children radiating like a lighthouse in a storm. He approached, drawn in, intrigued by this woman of strength and endurance against the odds. "I'm here to help," Tom said, his tone earnest and unwavering. His intentions were pure, a desire to give back and uplift the town he had once called home. As he and Sarah began collaborating on a plan to rejuvenate the struggling local businesses, a light flickered hope mixed with trepidation. Their bond blossomed, yet the murmurs grew louder. What does he know about a single mom's struggle? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the town meeting approached, a gnawing anxiety gripped Sarah. Would they believe in her vision? Would high society wrap itself around Tom's polished words, overshadowing hers? Just as victory felt within reach, a betrayal from an unexpected source left her shaken. The ground she was fighting to defend felt on the brink of crumbling beneath her, sending fears spiraling through her thoughts. Will Sarah rise above the judgment? Will Tom see beyond his privileged world? As silence cloaked her, a storm of emotions whirled within her. Time was slipping through her fingers, her resolve hanging on the precipice of uncertainty. With the town's judgment heavy in the air, the possibility for change hung tantalizingly close, waiting for a hero to step forward. 2 days later, the town meeting dawned, heavy with foreboding clouds. The community center buzzed with chatter as townsfolk filtered in, sipping coffee from disposable cups, some peering over their shoulders as if to gauge who was there and why. Sarah's heart raced in her chest as she shuffled her papers. "I can do this," she whispered to herself, trying to echo her father's affirmations. Tom stood a few feet away, scanning the crowd with an air of authority. He'd spent countless hours rehearsing the details, but Sarah knew this wasn't just another business pitch. "It's more personal than that," she reminded herself, her children's faces filling her mind, Lily's fierce determination and Jake's innocent joy. They were her heartbeat, her reason to fight. When their turn came, Tom stepped forward first, projecting confidence. "Maplewood has potential," he began, words flowing with a natural charisma. "We can revitalize our downtown, bring in new businesses, and create jobs." But he turned to Sarah. "This needs heart. It needs a vision grounded in our community." Just as Sarah prepared to take her step into the spotlight, she caught a whispered comment from a nearby table. A CEO thinks he knows better than us just because he wears a suit. That remark cut deeper than anything. Her grip on the podium tightened. She took a deep breath. I've lived here my entire life. I've seen friends lose businesses, families leave for greener pastures, she stated, her voice gaining strength. But we can change that. Together. As she shared her ideas, weaving in personal stories about the diner and the market, she noticed nods in the crowd. They were listening. Digging her heels into her passion, she spoke from her heart, about hope and unity. But a shadow loomed at the back of the room. Dan, her ex-husband, freshly groomed and exuding confidence. He stood with a small group, shooting her challenging glances that made her stomach turn. Using the kids as a shield again, Sarah? Desperate as usual? His voice hissed across the room. Gasps erupted. Her heart dropped. She could feel the heat flush to her face, the burden of shame swept over her. Yet, within that stranglehold of fear, a different fire ignited. You may think you know my story, Dan, but you don't own my path. I'm not afraid, not anymore, she declared, finding strength in her vulnerability. Sarah deserves respect. Tom countered, stepping beside her protectively. All of us do. Let us not tear each other down, that's not what this meeting is about. The tension in the room shifted. Whispers grew louder, murmurs of support permeated the air. A woman from the back shouted, "You tell him, Sarah." It was as if a collective breath was taken, empowerment swept through the gathering. Despite the chaos around her, Sarah felt lighter than ever before. Perhaps this wasn't just about saving Maplewood, it was about reclaiming her voice, her worth. As she concluded her remarks, applause filled the room, tears pricking at her eyes. But as the meeting drew to a close, doubts began to creep in again. What if the tide turned? What if the whispers became waves of resistance? Could they truly rebuild from here? As community members exchanged opinions, Sarah's stomach churned with uncertainty. She had opened her heart, but would it be met with understanding or judgment? The shadows of Dan, the whispers of skepticism, they loomed large, and the outcome of this meeting felt as precarious as her hopes. The possibilities of what lay ahead rushed through her mind, her heart pounding like a war drum. Was she ready for battle? Would her fight finally start making waves in Maplewood? Tom turned to her, realization in his eyes. Sarah, I think you just changed everything. Just then, Dan stepped forward, a smirk plastered on his face. Oh, this isn't over, Sarah. The room thickened with tension. What game was he playing now? How far would he go to undermine her? With his challenge hanging in the air, fear swirled alongside hope. Would the strength she had found be enough in the face of opposition? And as her gaze focused on the very future she hoped to reclaim, a single question hung palpably in the silence. Was this merely the beginning of her fight, or would it mark the turning point that defined the rest of her life? The following morning brought an unsettling stillness. Sarah woke early, the weight of yesterday's meeting heavy on her chest. The sunlight trickled through the curtains, illuminating the small, cluttered living room that doubled as her kids' play area. The familiar sight of crayons scattered upon the floor and Lily's dollhouse made her smile, but it was mixed with anxiety. Her heart still pounded with the echoes of Dan's taunt. Deep breaths, she muttered, remembering Tom's encouraging words from the day before. They had ignited a flicker of hope amid the chaos, a small flame that she clung to as she filled glasses of juice for breakfast. Jake bounded in, wild-eyed and full of energy. "Mom, can we go to the park today?" he asked, his excitement infectious. "Sure, buddy," she replied, forcing a cheerfulness she didn't feel. "Later after school, we'll have a little adventure." "But what if Dan comes there?" Lily chimed in, her brow furrowed. Sarah's heart sank. She hadn't wanted to burden them with worries about their father. "He made you sad yesterday. I don't want to see him." "Hey, it's okay. We're a team," Sarah reassured her, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her daughter's ear. "No matter what, we stick together." As she watched her kids, a rush of determination surged through her. If they faced Dan today, they would do it together. This was about so much more than just business. It was about family, love, and belonging. At the diner later, she found Tom setting up the new specials board. "How'd you sleep?" he asked, noting the light fatigue under her eyes. Not great. I can't stop thinking about Dan's comments, and what comes next. Tom frowned slightly. People will talk, especially those who don't know what they're talking about. You can't let them get to you. His words settled over her like a comforting blanket. You're right. I have to focus on what matters. I can't let Dan take my voice away. The diner was bustling as usual, and soon it was full of familiar faces, chatter mingling with the scent of fresh coffee. One by one, locals approached Sarah, offering encouragement. You really spoke up for us, Sarah, an older gentleman said. We need more of that. Yeah, keep fighting the good fight. Another added, filling her with warmth. Little by little, the weight on her shoulders began to lift. But later in the day, Dan appeared at the diner, striding in with confidence that felt ominous. Conversations quieted as he approached Sarah. Fancy seeing you here, he sneered, eyeing her. I'd advise you to stay in your lane. You know, it's best not to poke the bear. Her pulse quickened. And what exactly does that mean, Dan? His laugh sent a cold shiver down her spine. Ever heard of repercussions? Just wait. You won't have this community's support for long. Taking a breath, she held her ground. You underestimate them, and you underestimate me. Even as his words slashed through her confidence, a realization dawned. Maybe this fight was bigger than she understood. Perhaps they could turn the tide together. Back at home that evening, as the kids played on the living room floor, Sarah sat down with her thoughts. She needed to gather the community, to build that support she now felt was possibly within her reach. Mom! Jake's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Are we still going to the park tomorrow? Yes. Just you wait, she replied, a spark igniting inside her. We'll make it a day to remember. As she looked out the window at the darkening sky, she couldn't shake off the swell of possibilities. She could feel change on the horizon, but deep down, a gnawing tension remained. As she tucked her kids into bed that night, she couldn't shake the feeling that Dan's threat loomed large. And just as she was about to turn off the light, the thought struck her like lightning. What if he had friends? What if he wasn't the only one trying to undermine her? Could she stand firm against the forces around her? What if tomorrow brought more than just a park visit? The night felt charged with unseen tension, a breath held in a moment of uncertainty. Was she ready to confront whatever came next? What lay ahead was both a challenge and a promise, and Sarah could only hope she had the strength to face it. The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting golden pools of light in the kitchen. Sarah rubbed her tired eyes, the remnants of anxiety lingering in her chest. Today was the day she had promised Jake and Lily an adventure at the park, but she couldn't shake the dread that wrapped around her. After breakfast, she gathered her kids, their laughter ringing in her ears. They hopped into the car, the excitement evident in the way Lily clutched her doll, while Jake bubbled over with ideas for their park exploration. Are we going to have a picnic? Can we fly a kite? Jake asked, practically bouncing in his seat. Absolutely, she replied, forcing a bright smile, hoping to mask her inner turmoil. The drive was short but felt eternal. Each passing moment felt heavy with the fear of Dan showing up. She took a deep breath, promising herself that they would enjoy their day. The park came into view, bustling with families enjoying the sunny afternoon. Children squealed with delight, and the sound of laughter blended with the rustle of leaves. Sarah parked and stepped out, the warm breeze brushing against her skin. She wanted to hold on to this moment, to the joy radiating from her children. Look, Mom. Over there. Jake pointed at a group of kids playing with a kite. She followed his gaze, realizing how easily those innocent moments could be disrupted. Let us set up our picnic first, she suggested. Sarah spread the blanket on the grass, and they settled down with sandwiches and juice, their laughter filling her with warmth. She savored their joy, the fluttering worries pushed aside for now, but the peacefulness shattered like glass when she spotted Dan walking towards them, flanked by two men she recognized from the diner. Her stomach dropped, and she fought the urge to hide behind her kids. Nice day for a family outing, Dan said, smirking as he approached. The light-hearted atmosphere shifted, she could feel the tension rising among the other families nearby. Dan, what do you want? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Oh, Just wanted to see how your little rebellion is coming along. Thought I'd lend a hand. His tone dripped with sarcasm, and the two men behind him laughed. It was an attempt to intimidate, and her heart raced in response. Why do you always have to make everything about power? She challenged, standing tall. For a moment, she felt the eyes of the other families on her, the faint hope of support stirring within her. Dan's smirk faltered as he glanced around, his bravado wavering. This isn't over, Sarah. You'll wish you hadn't stirred the pot. He turned on his heel, walking away with his friends, leaving her with a mix of anger and relief. Jake looked up at her, wide-eyed. Mom, are you okay? I'm okay, sweetheart, she said, kneeling beside him. Just some grown-up stuff. Let us not let it ruin our day. But even as she said it, she felt the weight of Dan's words. They won't support you for long. The fear lingered, gnawing at her. But she couldn't allow it to overshadow this moment with her children. They spent the afternoon soaring kites and running wild through the grass, but Sarah's heart was heavy. By the time the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, she sat on the edge of the blanket, lost in thought. The park had been a brief reprieve, but she knew this was only the beginning. As they packed up to leave, Jake hugged her tightly. Best day ever, he shouted, and for a moment, Sarah believed him. Their smiles were light in contrast to her heavy heart, but as they drove home, the reality settled in. Dan's threat loomed larger than she had anticipated. What other plans might he have to undermine her? As they rounded the corner toward home, Sarah understood she couldn't face this alone. She needed a plan, support, and perhaps, allies. Could her community come together to defy the darkness looming over them? The night felt thick with uncertainty, but as she tucked her children in, a flicker of determination ignited within her. Perhaps tomorrow, she would seek that support. And just then, she realized, change was coming, and she was ready to fight for her family's future. However, would the community rally to her side, or would they succumb to fear? The next morning arrived draped in a shroud of tension. Sarah woke up to the usual sounds of Jake and Lily bickering over their favorite cereal. Their laughter, however, felt distant, muted by the storm brewing in her mind. She brewed coffee while running through the myriad ways today could unfold. I want to go on an adventure today, Jake declared, bashing the table in excitement, oblivious to any underlying tension. Me too, Mommy. Please, can we? Lily chimed in, her big eyes sparkling with hope. All right, how about we go to the library first? Sarah suggested, wanting to keep their day light and innocent while she mentally plotted her next steps. They have story time today. Yay. I love story time. Lily squealed, bouncing on her feet. As they finished breakfast, Sarah's heart raced. Would she be able to muster the courage to reach out for help? Today had to be different. Her dreams for her family's future depended on it. With her mind set, she glanced at her phone, scrolling through contacts until she landed on a name that brightened her heart. Mia had been her friend since childhood. Though their lives had taken different paths, Mia was now a successful businesswoman. Her loyalty had never wavered. Taking a deep breath, Sarah texted her. Hey, can we meet up today? I could really use your advice and maybe a little help. After sending the message, a flurry of nervous energy surged in her. What if Mia was busy? What if she didn't want to get involved? But before she could spiral into doubt, her phone buzzed, and a heart emoji popped on the screen, paired with, of course, I'm free, let us meet at noon. With a bit of hope fluttering in her chest, Sarah took her kids to the library. The world felt a little less daunting there, filled with the smell of old pages and the comfort of familiarity. They joined other children for story time, and for a moment, Sarah let herself be present. She watched Jake and Lily widen their eyes at the magical tales that unfolded. It was pure joy. After an hour filled with laughter and fun, she gathered her kids. As they walked back to the car, Sarah's thoughts raced back to the meeting with Mia. What would she say? Could she really ask her for support against Dan? Just the thought of confronting him left her feeling unsteady. At noon, Sarah found a small cafe where Mia was already seated at a cozy table in the corner. She recognized her instantly, even after all these years, the same warm smile, hair framed perfectly, exuding an aura of calm confidence. As they hugged, Sarah felt a small flicker of reassurance. "What has been going on with you?" MIA asked, pouring them both some iced tea. Sarah hesitated, then the words rushed out. "It's Dan. He's been making things difficult for me. I feel like he's trying to bully me into submission." MIA's expression shifted, concern deepening in her eyes. "You can't let him push you around. What do you need?" The question hung heavy in the air. Should she reveal everything? The kids, the threats, the fear creeping in like a shadow? Just then, the cafe door swung open. A gust of wind followed, and Sarah's breath hitched. "Dan," she whispered, eyes widening. But no, it was someone else, someone she hadn't seen in years, and certainly not who she expected today. The shock sent reverberations through her thoughts. What does this surprise mean for her plans? Just when she thought she was ready to tackle the storm, another twist appeared. Was it fate or another challenge in disguise? Would this unexpected visitor be a source of support or another obstacle? Sarah blinked at the figure that now stood in the doorway, heart racing. It was a face from her past that she had almost forgotten, a flicker of warmth surrounded by years of silence. Sam, her childhood best friend, who had moved away when they were teenagers. He looked taller, more mature, but with that same easygoing smile that once brought her so much comfort. "Sarah," he called out, hesitating for a moment, scanning the room until his eyes locked on her. "MIA, this is Sam," Sarah stammered, feeling like the world was tilting off its axis. She hadn't prepared for this. "Wow, it's been a while." Sam grinned as he approached. "I heard you were back in town. How've you been?" "Managing," she replied, vague and distracted. She mentally kicked herself, wishing she could focus on the moment instead of the chaos gripping her life. "What a coincidence, huh?" MIA interjected, breaking the tension. "You just caught us mid-conversation. Sarah was just telling me about some challenges she's facing." "Oh, anything I can help with?" Sam's eyes softened, and for a moment, Sarah could see the boy she once knew. Maybe there was a way to turn this unexpected reunion into something meaningful. "It's complicated," she said, glancing at MIA first, unsure how much she wanted to divulge. "Complicated can mean a lot of things," Sam said gently. "You know I'm here for you, right? Whatever it is, we can tackle it together." This simple show of support felt like a lifeline pulling Sarah back from the edge of uncertainty. She hesitated, thoughts swirling as she caught MIA's encouraging nod. "Dan," she finally admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "He's threatening to make my life unbearable. I'm scared of what's next." Sam's brows knit together with concern. "You shouldn't have to deal with that alone." MIA leaned forward, her serious gaze on Sarah. "You have allies, Sarah. We can find a way to navigate this." As they talked, the cafe around them faded into the background. She could see the sparks of determination growing in her friend's eyes. The world of threats and fear seemed distant and replaced by the warmth of camaraderie. For the first time in weeks, hope flickered like a tiny flame in her heart. "You know, Sam," Sarah began, her voice steadier now, "your timing is strange, but maybe it's just what I need to push through this." "Exactly," he replied, grinning again. "It could be the universe telling us something. I'm all in, whatever you need." But then, the door of the cafe opened once more, and Sarah's stomach lurched. The air shifted, bringing an unease she had hoped to keep at bay. "What if Dan shows up here?" she whispered, glancing around nervously. "We'll be ready," MIA said firmly. "Together." Sam nodded, a protective glint in his eyes. "Let us not let fear dictate our next moves." The conversation flowed, renewed energy igniting within her. If they stood together, maybe they could turn the tides against Dan. But just as she began to feel confident, her phone buzzed ominously on the table. Curiosity and dread fought for control as she glanced down one new message, from a number she recognized all too well. "Don't think you can hide from me. I'll find you." Cold fear seeped in again, freezing the hope that had started to emerge. In this world of uncertainties, would she ever truly be safe? As the reality of the message settled in, she realized it wasn't just a challenge anymore. It was a war. How would she stand her ground when Dan escalated? How many allies would she need in this fight? Sarah's heart raced, the warmth from her earlier conversation slipping away. The message on her phone felt heavy, like a stone sinking in her stomach, and the cafe rattled back to reality around her. She looked up at Sam and MIA, suddenly aware of the tension tightening the air. How could she share the weight of this looming threat without sending them into a panic? MIA's expression shifted. "What does it say?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She hesitated, weighing the risk of laying her fears bare against the comfort of their presence. "It's just Dan," Sarah replied, attempting to wave it off. "He's being dramatic. I don't want to bring the mood down." "Not bringing it down," Sam interjected, a fire igniting in his eyes, "just being realistic. We need to know what we're dealing with." Taking a shaky breath, Sarah revealed her phone. "He says he'll find me. Like I'm running or hiding, which I'm not, at least not anymore." Uncertainty surrounded them, thick as fog. Sam leaned closer, focus intensifying. "You're not alone, Sarah. Let us figure this out. Together. We'll come up with a plan." "Yeah," MIA echoed. "We don't have to just wait and see what he does next. We can take back control." The fight in MIA's voice sparked something within Sarah, a flicker of defiance. Who was Dan to own her fear? "What if you both come with me later?" Sarah proposed, her voice rising above the heaviness. "I was thinking we could check out that community center. They have self-defense classes starting up, and maybe it's a way to empower myself." "Count me in," Sam said, enthusiasm brightening his features. "I haven't done anything like that since gym class, but I'm ready to break a sweat." MIA giggled, lightening the moment. "First one to fall gets to buy coffee." As laughter filled the space, Sarah could feel the tendrils of anxiety start to unwind. This was strange territory for her, no longer focused solely on survival. She was choosing to fight back, refusing to remain the victim. But that urge to regain control came with a price. The tension settled back again, thoughts of Dan's threats lingering over their heads like dark clouds. Just as they resumed casual talk, the bell above the cafe door chimed again. This time, it wasn't just a passerby. Sarah's heart skipped as she recognized the unmistakable figure striding through the entrance. Dan, tall and imposing. The ambience shifted, laughter turned to silence. "What are you doing here?" Sarah's words tumbled out before she could stop them. Dan's eyes roamed the cafe, finally landing on her. "Sarah," he said, voice smooth yet laced with something darker. "I've been looking for you." Panic gripped Sarah as she exchanged glances with MIA and Sam. They were her allies, but what could they possibly do against him? "Just stay calm," MIA whispered, squeezing Sarah's hand tightly. "I don't want trouble," Dan continued, a faint smirk creeping onto his face. "But you've made it very clear you want to avoid me." Sarah felt her body tense as each word soaked in like poison. But she had come too far to surrender now. "I'm not running anymore, Dan," she declared, forcing the tremor from her voice. "You don't scare me." The moment hung in the air, electric and fraught. Dan chuckled, a low and menacing sound. "We'll see about that with that." He turned, leaving the cafe as swiftly as he had come, but not without leaving a chill that reverberated through her. "Are you okay?" Sam asked, stepping closer. Sarah nodded, the weight returning but tempered by steely resolve. "Let us go to that class. I need to feel in control." It was one small step, but for Sarah, it felt monumental. She was ready to take her life back, armed with determination and a fight she hadn't known she possessed. As they left the cafe, the warmth of unity enveloped her again, igniting hope against all odds. But what challenges lay ahead in this fight? And how far was Dan willing to go to keep her under his thumb? The sun dipped lower in the sky as they walked towards the community center, its glow casting a warm hue over the sidewalk. Sarah could still feel the ghost of Dan's presence lingering, but each step away from the cafe was a small victory. "I can't believe he just showed up like that," MIA said, her voice threaded with disbelief. "What was he thinking?" "Probably just trying to intimidate you," Sam replied, shaking his head. "But hey, look at you. You were anything but intimidated." Sarah felt a surge of warmth at Sam's words. It didn't matter that Dan's presence still loomed in her mind, She had stood her ground. I'm tired of being scared, she admitted, her voice softer. Ma hooked her arm through Sarah's. Good, because you're not going to be scared on my watch. We've got this. And soon, you'll be the one intimidating him. A mixture of nerves and excitement bubbled within Sarah as they approached the community center. The building was a sturdy brick structure with large windows that gleamed, reflecting the afternoon light. As they stepped inside, the scent of fresh paint and polished wood welcomed them, ushering in a sense of possibility. They were greeted by a friendly instructor, a woman with an infectious smile wearing a self-defense for all t-shirt. Welcome. You're here for the class, I assume? She beamed. Yes, Sarah said, squaring her shoulders, feeling a hint of determination rising within her. We are. Awesome. Let us get started. Inside the class, the energy was palpable. The instructor led them through warm-ups, and Sarah could feel her muscles awaken, react just as her spirit was. Each punch and kick into the air felt like a release, a way to shed the weight of Dan's threats. It was empowering. Sam was a few feet away, attempting a roundhouse kick. He lost his balance and stumbled. Whoa! He yelled, drawing laughter from the group. Mia chuckled, shaking her head. You're not supposed to do a somersault, Sam. Their playful banter acted as a buffer against anxiety, and soon, Sarah was caught up in the rhythm of the class. An hour passed quickly, filled with focused drills and bursts of laughter. With each move, she could feel the shadows from earlier start to fade, leaving room for strength and resilience to grow. As the final drill concluded, Sarah glanced around at Sam, who had become surprisingly adept at keeping his balance, and Mia, who had found her rhythm too. In this moment, she felt united with them, a siblinghood forming under the shared goal of empowerment. After the class ended, they gathered their things and headed outside, adrenaline surging through them. Sarah's phone chimed, and her heart dropped. But it wasn't Dan this time. It was a message from a support group she had wanted to join, an invite to meet them soon. As she shared the news, a smile spread across Sam's face. See? Things are starting to change, he said. Yeah, Mia nodded, her eyes bright. This is just the beginning, Sarah. But as Sarah looked into the distance, a flicker of doubt crawled back into her mind. Was she fooling herself? The path ahead felt perilous, and Dan was still out there. What if he decides to push harder? Sarah wondered aloud, her voice wavering. A silence filled the air, heavy with all they hadn't said. They had come so far, but the threat wasn't gone. Then we push back harder, Sam finally said, the determination in his tone unmistakable. If he thinks you're going to fall back into fear, he has got another thing coming. With that, Sarah felt an ember of hope spark once more. Maybe together, they could face whatever came next. But as they walked home, a shadow passed overhead. Sarah noticed a familiar figure across the street, eyes watching. Had Dan returned for more? Sarah's heartbeat quickened, each pulse resounding like a drum in her ears. The familiar outline of Dan stood there, an ominous figure framed by the golden glow of the setting sun. He leaned against a lamppost, arms crossed, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch all the way to Sarah. A knot tightened in her stomach. Stay calm, Mia whispered, pulling her closer as though shielding Sarah from Dan's gaze. We've got your back. Let us just keep walking, Sam suggested, trying to sound nonchalant despite the tension crackling in the air, but Sarah felt rooted to the spot, her thoughts racing. Had he come to confront her? To make her feel small again? Hey, Sarah, Dan called out, his voice smooth but laced with a challenge. Yes, she answered, her voice more steady than she felt. This wasn't the frightened girl she used to be. Nice class today, huh? He pushed off the lamppost and sauntered closer, his smirk a mixture of sarcasm and something darker. Did you learn how to fight back? I hope it helps with your next tantrum. The words struck her like a slap. It felt as if he was trying to peel away the strength she'd just found in that class. It almost worked. Almost. Don't talk to her like that, Mia interjected, stepping protectively in front of Sarah. Leave us alone, Dan. Oh, look at you, little Mia. Playing the protector, he sneered, casting a brief, contemptuous glance toward her. But what's a few self-defense classes gonna do against me? Everything, Sarah replied, feeling a surge of empowerment bubble up. You don't get to define who I am anymore. Dan's expression shifted, surprise flickering in his eyes. Then the smirk returned, darker than before. You have no idea how far I will go, do you? She shivered at his words but maintained eye contact, unwilling to back down. The weight of their past didn't have to chain her in the present. You know what? You don't scare me, she said, her voice stronger than the last time he had cornered her. I'm done with your games. For a moment, there was silence between them. Sarah's friends remained stalwart beside her. Yet the air felt charged, as if a storm was brewing. Suddenly, Dan's phone buzzed, breaking the tension. He glanced down, his smirk faltering. When he looked back up, a glint of annoyance passed over his features. I have more important things to deal with than you three, he spat, turning to leave. But I'll be keeping track. As he walked away, relief washed over her like rain after a drought. She hadn't crumbled. She hadn't given in. Did you see that? Sarah exclaimed, laughter bubbling up. I actually stood up to him. Mia hugged her tightly, and even Sam cheered. You crushed it, Sarah. Seriously. But as they turned to walk away, a lingering shadow hung in the air. Dan's words replayed in Sarah's mind how far he would go. What did that mean? The darkness of uncertainty loomed, pressing against the small victories they had achieved. Let us not let that ruin our vibe, Sam said, recognizing their shifting mood. You did amazing. And we still have that support group to look forward to. Yeah, Sarah said, trying to absorb the bubbly energy around her while the uneasiness coiled in her stomach. I guess we do. But as they rounded the corner, her heart quickened again. A feeling washed over her, one she hadn't felt for a while but was familiar enough to recognize. Fear was creeping back. Could they truly keep Dan at bay? Would he really stop? Sarah. Mia's voice broke through her thoughts. You okay? Let us just get to the support group, Sarah managed, forcing a smile to mask the doubts tumbling in her mind. Let us do it, Sam said with a resolute nod, but as they walked on, another figure appeared in the distance, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched again. What if Dan wasn't the only one looking for trouble? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced across Maplewood streets. As Sarah, Mia, and Sam approached the community center, the atmosphere buzzed with a mix of energy and anxiety. For Sarah, this support group was more than just an escape, it was a lifeline. Each step felt heavier as she carried her concerns not only about her own safety but about being a good mom for Jake and Lily. As they entered the community center, the warmth enveloped her. Chairs were arranged in a circle, and the room buzzed with voices. Sarah felt a mixture of hope and dread as she scanned the faces of people who were all seeking connection. They were fellow warriors, each with their own stories of struggle. A tall woman with a kind face welcomed them. Hey, everyone, let us take a seat and introduce ourselves. Gus, an older man with a warm smile, shared his story first. He lost his job and struggled to provide for his family, but each word dripped with resilience and determination. His spirit inspired Sarah, and she couldn't help but lean in closer. When it was her turn, Sarah felt the familiar knot in her stomach, but she was met with understanding eyes. I'm Sarah, she started, her voice shaky but growing steadier. I'm a single mom, and my life has been a battle lately. I just want to create a safe space for my kids. But somebody is trying to make that harder. The room murmured in empathy, and the energy shifted into something vibrant and alive. Other members shared words of support, raising hands when they nodded in solidarity. A woman named Jess leaned forward, her expression fierce. In this circle, you're not alone. Together, we have power. You need to know that. Exactly. Another member chimed in. We can learn from one another and lift each other up. It's time to reclaim our stories. Sarah's heart swelled as the realization sunk in. They could fight, and they could win. Just as the meeting concluded, a familiar chill crawled up her spine. Walking toward them was Dan. The room froze, eyes darting nervously. Jess instantly stepped forward, her voice ringing out. You can't be here. This is a safe space. Dan scoffed, his expression blending anger with arrogance. What's the matter? Afraid I'll ruin your little support group? Sarah felt her heart racing. It was now or never. "I won't be afraid of you," she blurted, surprising even herself. It wasn't just about her anymore. This was about her children, her community, and her newfound allies. "We're stronger together, and you can't intimidate me or anyone else here." The tension was palpable, yet a subtle wave of strength washed through the group. More allies voiced their support, their voices combining to drown out Dan's condescending remarks. The gathering turned into a wall of unity, each person refusing to yield to fear any longer. Dan faltered for a moment, their courage striking a nerve, and then he turned away. "You'll regret this, Sarah," he muttered, stalking out of the community center, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. As he left, a cheer erupted. "We did it!" shouted Sam, pulling Sarah into an embrace. The relief was electric. Mia squeezed Sarah's hand, tears of joy shimmering in her eyes. "You were incredible. We're here for you. Together, we will face whatever comes next." Emotions swirled within her. Today wasn't merely about confronting Dan, it was about embracing the support around her, a network of bravery binding together against despair. It felt as though the burdens she carried were magically lightening that night. When Sarah tucked her children into bed, their laughter echoed down the hall like a soothing lullaby. She kissed them goodnight, each little heartbeat thumping with reassurance. As she climbed into bed later, exhaustion washed over her, but hope sparkled through the fatigue like stars piercing dark skies. The battle was not over, but she had allies by her side now, and with that thought came a new wave of strength. Feeling the softness of her pillow, she whispered a prayer for courage and clarity. She would do whatever it took to protect her family and her town. Tomorrow, she would reach out. With Mia and Sam, they would start organizing community events to build unity, support local businesses, and create a safe culture for everyone. In Maplewood, where dreams often felt out of reach, it was time to dream together. Sarah smiled as her eyes fluttered shut, ready to awaken to a world transformed, confident that together, they would not only survive, they would thrive. As the sun rose over Maplewood, the storm clouds of doubt receded, making way for the vibrant dawn of a new beginning. It was a reminder that even when it feels like all hope is lost, the power of community, love, and resilience can create miracles. And just like that, the journey of fear turned into a story of courageous possibility, one heartbeat at a time. For everyone who has been inspired by Sarah's extraordinary journey, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to stay tuned for more exclusive stories like this one. Leave a like right now to help us spread positivity and encouragement. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Your voice matters. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to be part of our incredible community. Your support is what fuels these amazing stories.